According to Nobel Prize-winning economist Simon Kuznets, there are four types of countries in the world: developed, undeveloped, Japan, and Argentina. Less than a century ago, Argentina was among the world's wealthiest nations, with an economy that grew faster than any other. Argentina even constructed subway stations before modern cities like Tokyo and Beijing. This remarkable progress attracted millions of immigrants, each one filled with dreams of starting a new life. Between the late 19th century and early 20th century, around 7 million people from various parts of the world moved to Argentina seeking a new home. While many people may not know much about Argentina, they often feel a connection to the country, as well as to Brazil. Both nations have made significant contributions to global sports, particularly football. Often, Argentina and Brazil are remembered not for their economies, industries, or scientific achievements, but for their influence in the world of football. Geographically, Argentina is a vast country. On a world map, it appears long and narrow, but compared to many European countries, its size is truly impressive. Argentina covers approximately 2.78 million square kilometers. However, it is not the largest country in South America. Brazil, which spans 8.5 million square kilometers, is 3 times larger. With a population of only 45 million people, it is clear that Argentina is not very densely populated, given its extensive land area. The reason why countries with vast land areas often have small populations is due to their geography, which can be mountainous and rugged, or because their climates are extremely cold. While Argentina has such areas, they do not dominate the landscape, and the country is generally milder than, for example, Greenland. Argentina has a presidential system of governance and operates as a federal republic. This means that the nation is not ruled by a single individual, but rather by a modern government structure. The capital city, Buenos Aires, is the most well-known and frequently mentioned city in the country. If you're looking to visit Argentina, you can easily find flights from various locations around the globe. However, most of these flights may involve layovers, as airlines typically consolidate passengers from different parts of the world before arriving in Argentina. The good news is that Argentina does not require visas for travelers from many countries. When discussing life in Argentina, it's important to note that there is no official language called Argentinian. The country predominantly speaks Spanish. While most middle-aged and older generations have limited knowledge of English, the younger generation tends to speak it more frequently. This Spanish influence dates back to the era of Spanish colonization in the 1500s, a time when Spain was a dominant global power and engaged in extensive sea voyages to discover new territories. During this period, the first colonies were established in Argentina, leading to a long history of exploitation that continued into the 1800s. The Spanish settlers also brought their own population to the region, embedding the Spanish language deeply into Argentina's identity. In 1976, Argentina experienced conflict with the British over the Falkland Islands, which both nations claimed as their own. The war resulted in significant losses for Argentina, and the country was ultimately defeated by the British. Although 4 decades have since passed, the Argentine people have not relinquished their claim to the Falkland Islands. They view the British presence as an occupation and consider it a national issue. While the British assert that they were the first to discover the islands, Argentina contends that they were inherited from Spanish rule. Today, however, the 3,000 residents of the Falkland Islands identify as British and largely support the UK, as their way of life is heavily funded by Britain. The reason I have explained the Falkland issue in detail is that if you ever find yourself in Argentina, it's best not to bring up the topic at all. People tend to become uneasy and even aggressive when the Falkland issue arises. I advise against praising England in Argentina or wearing an England jersey. Today, Argentina is a stark contrast to its once highly developed lifestyle. The country faces rampant inflation, leading many to turn to prostitution just to survive. Additionally, adult work is largely overlooked by the government, which does little to address the issue. Half of the population lives below the poverty line, and many people sleep on the streets. It has become commonplace for individuals to smoke weed in cafes, and this behavior is tolerated, making it a regular part of life in Argentina. Even government officials acknowledge that the country is drifting further away from being a desirable place to live. Attracting immigrants has become increasingly challenging. In fact, many citizens choose to leave Argentina as soon as they find success in any field. One of the most striking examples of this situation is the football industry. From a young age, many children here dream of becoming football players like Messi, Maradona, and numerous other Argentine stars, aiming for a wealthy life and the chance to live in Europe. The same holds true for kids in Brazil. This aspiration stems from the weak job sectors in their countries compared to the modern world. The overall economy in Argentina relies heavily on agriculture and agriculture-based industries. They struggle to produce or export technology, and the nation lacks any major global brands. Consequently, the production capacity in the country is limited, leading to a heavy reliance on imports for almost everything connected to the modern world. As foreign currency continually flows out with little coming in, inflation rises, and the value of the Argentine peso continues to decline. Truthfully, Argentina is a country of extreme contrasts. Inflation is over 40%, and crime rates are alarmingly high. Yet, when you experience the nightlife in the capital, Buenos Aires, it seems as if there's no economic crisis at all. No matter how severe the situation, the people here never stop having fun or compromising on their enjoyment of life. The streets are filled with venues, bustling with hundreds of people. When you observe their faces, outfits, and tables, it's evident that they are fully engaged in enjoying life. If you are wealthy, attracting attention in Argentina is fairly easy, much like in any part of the world. Women, in particular, enjoy having a good time, and many men travel from abroad specifically to meet Argentine women. As a result, Argentinians take great care in their appearance and are known for their warm personalities. This indicates that Argentina is a society focused on consumption. Despite economic struggles, people continue to party, spend money, and indulge in life. The younger generation especially lives for the moment, prioritizing enjoyment. People in Argentina are generally friendly. You are unlikely to encounter overtly racist remarks or actions here as you might in Europe. Instead, they are interested in getting to know you. Argentinians can be emotional and playful in their character. They often joke about themselves or comment on your appearance, and they might turn certain traits into sources of humor. When faced with such jokes, they expect you to find them amusing. If you are a serious person who doesn't handle jokes well, you may find it challenging to enjoy the Argentine atmosphere. Moreover, same-sex marriage has been legal in Argentina for over a decade. While many people identify as Christian, the majority are open-minded and do not strictly adhere to religious rules. In essence, society establishes its own moral standards, fostering a very free-spirited mindset. If you can overlook the country's economic challenges and focus on enjoying Argentina, the capital, Buenos Aires, is sure to impress you. Unlike many other South American cities, Argentina boasts a well-organized layout. The architecture in its major cities often resembles that of European countries, particularly Italy and Spain. The streets are kept remarkably clean, and the buildings display a sense of artistry. When you visit, it genuinely feels as though you've stepped into a European city rather than one in South America. The service and atmosphere in restaurants and markets give off a developed country vibe. The cuisine is heavily influenced by European flavors, featuring dishes like pizza, pasta, and pork. Argentina is also one of the world's top consumers of beef, and its people have a strong affinity for grilling meat. You can tell that the population is generally cultured and conscientious about cleanliness, which is evident in how well-maintained the streets are. On the other hand, deportations are nearly non-existent in Argentina. Even people who overstay their visas often find ways to re-enter the country illegally, as there is no active deportation law. For those facing difficulties in their home countries, such as conflict or chaos, Argentina is one of the easiest places to obtain residency or citizenship. Despite Argentina's economic challenges, there are affluent neighborhoods in the capital where residents enjoy a more luxurious lifestyle compared to the majority. These areas, known as Palermo and Belgrano, feature high-rise, secure, and expensive apartments. The environment is extremely safe, allowing residents to comfortably walk around and film in public spaces. However, locals tend to be cautious. They rarely leave their phones on cafe tables or place their bags on chairs facing the street. Such practices are seen as necessary safety measures. If you find yourself directly confronted by a robber, local guides recommend handing over whatever the robbers demand. This advice stems from the fact that many robbers in Argentina may be armed with guns or knives, and it is not worth risking your safety. There are even bizarre incidents reported where a person who attempted to rob someone at gunpoint on a motorcycle might appear as a guest on a national talk show the same evening. It seems that the crime laws in Argentina exist only on paper and fail to effectively deter criminal behavior. Despite this, Buenos Aires is truly impressive. The streets are vibrant and the people are friendly. Even though everyone shares the same city air, they don't interfere with one another, criticize each other's life choices or fashion styles, or try to outdo one another. As a result, the people in Argentina live completely free lives. For example, the legal status of weed smoking and other drug use in Argentina varies. You can roll and smoke weed on any cafe terrace. Despite this relaxed attitude, women sometimes encounter conflicts with their partners. Every year, protests and actions are organized in the country to protect women's rights and amplify their voices. However, the police's authority and public order in Argentina often fall short. Locals say that even if the police catch a criminal and detain them for a few days, they are eventually released. In other words, due to the lack of deterrent punishments, criminals are not afraid to reoffend, and often do so without hesitation. The government tends to view these individuals as poor and in need of assistance, believing that they made a mistake out of desperation, resulting in non-life-threatening harm. This mentality contributes significantly to the prevalence of robbery in Argentina. Currently, $1 is equivalent to approximately 1,000 Argentine pesos, and inflation in the country continues to rise uncontrollably. Locals report that 2 years ago, $1 was worth about 15 pesos, but now it's a staggering 1 to 1,000. However, if you are an immigrant working online and earning dollars while living in Argentina, life can be quite affordable. Inflation primarily impacts local citizens, particularly those above a certain age, who face significant challenges in earning money and making ends meet. The number of people sleeping on the streets in the capital is alarming and heartbreaking. Each of these individuals is homeless. Some believe that instead of managing rent and bills, people choose to sleep on the streets, relying on government social assistance and remaining unemployed. Finding a job and earning money often seems illogical to many in Argentina. Since it can be difficult to make ends meet with their earnings, some eventually stop trying and depend on government support. Others claim they were unable to find jobs in the capital, which forced them to live on the streets. Argentina has a population of around 46 million, with approximately 10 million people not having proper jobs, many of whom survive on government assistance. Additionally, it's common to find that most products in Argentina are locally produced, leading to a scarcity of imported goods. For instance, if you want to wear a popular brand from Spain or Italy, or need a technological device from the United States, Argentina faces significant challenges in importing these items. This is because countries that sell to Argentina require payment in dollars, and Argentina's treasury lacks sufficient dollars, causing major import issues. Even when products from recognized clothing brands are imported, they often don't come in every size or style. Only the best-selling products and sizes are typically brought in. If you are looking for global market products and have a unique body type, you might find Argentina disappointing. According to unofficial sources, the country experiences an annual inflation rate exceeding 100%, which diminishes purchasing power and devalues money. For example, if you're visiting Argentina or Brazil for a short time and need an electronic device, I recommend against buying expensive products there. These countries sell some of the world's most expensive Apple products due to extremely high taxes. You can even see advertisements on the streets in Argentina for various things, including ads for adult-only events. However, you don't have to attend such events to socialize or meet people in Argentina. Meeting and flirting with Argentine women is reportedly quite easy, even for men. Our friends living there have noted that a politely asked question can hold significant meaning. For instance, if a man invites an Argentine woman out to dinner, the meaning behind the invitation carries much more weight for her. In Argentina, it's common for people to connect with someone they've just met after going out for dinner, and Argentine women often see this as entirely normal. Interestingly, a man doesn't need to buy expensive gifts to start a relationship. There's no sense of obligation between individuals in these connections. Simply being likable and kind is usually sufficient. Kindness and politeness are highly valued in Argentina, and if you have a good character, you don't need to know someone for long before becoming intimate. Even long-term relationships in Argentina can often begin with a night spent together after dinner. Argentine women often dress openly and stylishly during the day. For instance, when meeting a man, they might wear black leather pants or low-cut black dresses. Some observers claim that women in Argentina actively seek out men while dressed like this. Additionally, it's reported that married men and women, despite loving their spouses, may engage in affairs with their bosses, a practice that is considered quite normal in Argentina. Having a mistress doesn't negatively impact marriages there, as people have a very open mindset and prioritize living for their immediate happiness. Moreover, many parents in Argentina are not officially married. People often have children in their 30s while in relationships, but they typically consider marriage only after the age of 35. This is not viewed negatively in society and is quite common. For instance, it's not unusual to see a 45-year-old having their first child in Argentina. Generally, people's life philosophies involve enjoying parties and having fun until their mid-20s, focusing on career building during their 30s, and then slowly contemplating marriage after 35. In tourist areas, most visitors come from the United States. They bring their dollars and enjoy dining at some of the capital's most expensive restaurants. Argentina is not only incredibly affordable for Americans, but it is also a great destination for Europeans seeking quality services at low prices. In fact, the country attracts more visitors than Brazil. However, Argentina is not just about Buenos Aires. As you travel south from the capital, the weather becomes colder, and the climate turns harsher and windier. One notable settlement in the south is Ushuaia, which is one of the southernmost cities in the world. Because of its proximity to Antarctica, life in Ushuaia differs significantly from that in central Argentina, giving it the impression of being in another country. Accessing basic necessities can be more challenging and expensive in remote areas like Ushuaia, where visitors can observe seals and various marine creatures. This brings us to the end of the video. See you in the next one. Goodbye.